A legal challenge to the Scottish Government's controversial named person for every child scheme is to be heard at the Supreme Court in London today. From August, every child under 18 will be assigned a named person, such as a health visitor or a teacher, to look after their welfare. But campaigners argue it could breach human rights. Lisa Summers reports.
The P6 pupils at Kirkcaldy West Primary are practising their reading, writing and arithmetic. There are over 500 children at the school. The head teacher or one of his deputies will be the nominated named person. Since 2009, Fife has been changing the way it focuses on children's well-being, all part of the wider strategy of getting it right for every child. They're one of the first council areas to introduce the named person role. Ewan Trousdale is the head.
It empowers school to raise a concern with our parents and with an external agency and get support from other partners to help. Sometimes parents are hesitant to come forward if they're struggling with a particular aspect, and if we can see something's getting in the way of a child's well-being, we have a toolkit, a framework that we can work with to make sure we can make a difference. And we can work with social work, other third-tier agencies to come together to look at a child's well-being and see what we can do collectively to make the difference.
But some parents disagree. In Dundee, a support group for parents whose children have special needs is meeting for lunch. The talk around the table today is that imposing a state guardian is fundamentally wrong.
It's a complete breach of all the human rights to do with private family life, the named person, again professionals, all this workload being put on them, and people being in a position of trust that are going to abuse it.
I really am quite angry that this is going to be forced upon me, whether I like it or not. And the blanket approach is wrong. I understand why they're doing it, but all they're doing is actually making the haystack bigger, and they'll never find the needle. So that's why if all these children are going to fall through the net.
There are kids that slip through the net, but if you've had grievances, especially where you've got a child with special needs, then what's not to say that this named person, who happens to possibly be the head teacher, takes it in a grudge way, maybe uses that against you to make our lives that are already hard enough as it is, because we have quite a lot of professionals who are around our child already, and it's just going to be an interference.
Last year, the Scottish courts dismissed a legal challenge by campaigners against the named person legislation. But over the next 2 days, the Supreme Court in London will hear from campaigners who say the law breaches the human rights of parents and children. Clan Law is a charity that gives legal advice to young people. They're intervening in the ongoing judicial review. They say the real problem with the legislation is the lowering of the threshold for state intervention. Alison Reid is the principal solicitor.
The key here is the difference in the kind of threshold of information that's to be shared. If currently in relation to child protection, it's all about risk of significant harm, whereas if this legislation comes into force, the threshold is around well-being.
The charity believes the legislation could put children off seeking help.
I think particularly for teenagers who are looking for a kind of safe space to discuss issues maybe around bullying or sexuality, which might not be child protection issues, then these issues are going to be shared, and that's through this new threshold of well-being. And these are the issues which it's really important that if there's no child protection concerns, that they have the space to actually discuss these and work these issues through.
Organisations who support the named person say it will help to connect the family more effectively with a range of services should they ever need them. The Scottish Government say that the named person service has been developed carefully over more than a decade as part of their commitment to ensuring children get the best possible start in life.